So I'm really honored to be here today to talk to you a little bit about the company and a little bit about the future of technology as how I see it. So I've been in the industry for a little over a decade, in the gaming industry. And just a bit of background on me. I was formerly in EA and I'm formerly in Gumi. I had the fortune of taking a game called Brave Frontier and publishing it across the world. It was quite successful in its day. It's still quite successful right now. But with the success came a lot of problems. And I always think that innovation comes about by people trying to solve problems. So there were a lot of problems which I'm going to run through with you. That we picked up on and we tried to improve. And maybe some of those solutions that we've built sort of contributed to the success. And I hope that we could crystallize that and bring it to everyone, right? So everyone can avoid those problems and hopefully have a happier time. Right? To quote a friend of mine, he's in the entertainment industry, and he told me that he wanted to set a goal for all his people, that how is it that you can come together with a unified vision in order to bring happiness to the world. So what he told me was the guys got together, they debated over what is important and what is not in entertainment, and they came back with this thing: in order to bring happiness, we have to deliver magical moments. And those magical moments form long-lasting memories. And I think in the same way, all of us here are doing the same, creating games, distributing games, publishing games. Every single day when someone opens up our game, we are delivering a little bit of magic to them. And that sort of impacts their life. Looking at the titles that are out today, for example, Clash Royale. Clash Royale is 4 minutes of packed emotions. The agony of defeat, the thrill of victory, all crammed into that 4 minutes. And in those 4 minutes, you feel so much emotion that you're attached to the game. And because of that, you're willing to spend. You're willing to spend time, you're willing to spend money on that. And I think that all of us, in some ways, hope to build a game like that, right? But there are many indie developers out there that hope to build the next Flappy Bird or the next Crossy Road, right? But it's difficult. This business is very, very difficult. And today I hope to give you a glimpse into the future about some of the tech that I think would make life easier for these people. So I'm a father of 4 sons. I'm lucky enough to have a wonderful wife and been with her for 31 years. I'm very, very happy. I think happiness is one of the key things that's important. 10 months ago, I started Go Game, and I'm fortunate enough to have very, very good partners. They are Sega. That's the Sega CEO and Sega Networks COO, who are my partners in this journey that I'm calling Go Game. This is my team. In 10 months, I've built out 6 countries and 100 people who share my vision on trying to bring a little bit more happiness to the world. So let me tell you a story. Growing up with 4 kids, I had to tell a lot of bedtime stories. And when I ran out of fairy tales, I would I would create my own. And this is the Avengers of Indie, the super awesome game developer. So Indie created something great, a magic potion that he thought he could bring to the world, right? It was the best that he could do. He spent years building it, blood and sweat, invested. But the venture was just starting. The venture is full of dangers, but he's not aware of that because he has not seen the world. He has not seen what dangers are there, right? In order to get his product out to the world, he has to climb to the top. But if you look at the record last year, there are only 14 new entries into the top 100, and there were only 5 of them that were indie developers. The business is getting harder. The business is getting more challenging. And these are all the dangers that stand in the way of indie conquering the world, right? Low exposure, scale, UA fraud, user acquisition fraud, low credit card penetration in emerging markets, high cost per install. It's very expensive for indie to get people to find out about this amazing product that he has built, unless you have a fairy godmother that can wave a wand and suddenly you have 2 million, 3 million downloads. You can't possibly have discoverability. There are 400,000 apps on the App Store today, 400,000, and you only get your new title that you're so proud of discovered if the fairy godmother says that, okay, we're going to give you an editor's choice or feature. Otherwise, you have to spend massive amounts of money for user acquisition, which is very, very tough. So UA fraud is one of the perils, difficulty. Most people are not even aware that there's such a thing, right? But last year, fraud amounted to $6.3 billion. This is one of the cases, example that I pulled, where you can see that a single device has 500 to 600 clicks. Unless this person is so passionate about the product, and he can click 600 times or download 500 games into a single device, somebody is messing around with the numbers. But this is what you're paying for. You're paying for installs that don't exist, right? It's so difficult already just to afford a proper campaign, right? Just to acquire good quality users. But in such cases, you're paying for bots to download your game. This is another incredible example where you get thousands and thousands of clicks coming from the United States. So what happens is you place out a program, a campaign, and the ad goes out to all the traffic within the States. But all the downloads are coming from Philippines. So unless all these players click when they're in the States and then fly back to Philippines 6,000 miles away and download your game, this is not right, right? Something is wrong there. There are a lot of tools out there that you need to get aware of. You need to know how to detect, how to prevent, because if you spend $1 million building the game, you probably have to spend 5 to 10 million, right, on user acquisition. That's 10 times the investment in actually creating the title. And how do you then save that money? Because that's all your profits, right? CPI is growing. When I first launched Brave Frontier 2012, or 2013, the CPI was very low. I could buy an install for less than $1. But today, if you look at the rates, it's unbelievable. I think the reason why the advertising agencies or advertising business is probably 10 times of the gaming business is because most of the money is going into ads. And probably the top 100 and top 200 people are the ones making money. And the rest of the thousands and thousands of new aspirants are not really getting their money's worth, right? So Indy goes on, faces all these obstacles, tries to save his princess against all these insurmountable odds, right? Knowing very well how to build the title, but not knowing what is it that is needed for him to service the customers that's going to come his way, right? So what do you actually need? The path is not easy. How can you make your game a success? You need a lot of things. These are some of the things that you would require in order for you to be able to publish to a global audience. Besides localizing to 12 to 14 languages across the world, I gave a little bit of a talk yesterday for Southeast Asia, and in Southeast Asia there's 6 or 7 countries. Some companies can't afford to do localization even in this small region, right? We need Thai, Bahasa, Indonesia, 2 types of Chinese, and English. Costs are extremely high. It doesn't make sense for a small team to be able to afford or to localize. And sometimes you don't have to. Sometimes you don't need to. You need to know how do you test across the region, how do you customize, service your customer, manage the community, take care of the paying customers. So we built a system around that, and we hope that with this, we are able to assist people in order to improve discoverability, in order to improve collections, monetization, conversion, retention, etc. So this is the framework, end-to-end, from when you first build the game or take a look at the game, all the way to the point where it is published. That's the starting line. When you start publishing, that's the starting line. It's not the finishing line. In the past, when I was involved in PC gaming, online gaming, PC gaming and console gaming, it's different. You rush for a Go Master, you push it out to market, and that's the end. But in the online world, in the mobile world, it's different. Constant updates, constant maintenance, constant management of users. That's where you monetize, right? And usually pay rates are very low, less than 3%. 97% of them consuming all the resources, but only 3% pay. But most of the time, we forgot to take care of even that 3%, because we are so obsessed with spending money on getting more users, we forget about the 3% that stayed behind. So this is something that we built. So before you actually publish a title, you take probably months to integrate every SDK that's required, social networking, logins, analytics tools, ad networks, etc. 20, 30 SDKs sometimes into a single system, and an army of people to test and to do the integration. So what we've essentially built is rapid publishing. Instead of months, it's just a few minutes. And I like to showcase that to you. Traditional integration takes months, as you all know. GoWrap only takes minutes. Take an APK, put it up to the portal. What I've essentially done is take every single SDK that's important to you and then pre-integrated it into a middleware. And just by keying in your keys and sites, etc., you can wrap it in a couple of minutes, and it's ready for publishing. We send it out to the region for multi-region QA test. This is in the game itself. In the game itself, we can either integrate it directly into the game, or it's a floating button that you can click and pop. So now I bring the social network and the support directly into the game without the user having to leave the title. Every time you want a new update, you say, hey, server is down. You get 10,000 tickets coming in and say, oh, server is down, right? And you have to pay an outsourcing company a lot of money to answer those tickets, which are essentially useless, right? So this way, you can integrate it directly. Anytime there's an update, they can click, they can go to YouTube, they can socialize within the network, etc. So this is one of the tools that I think are is very important for you to engage with the people within the game itself. Payment, I'm not going to talk too much about this. Basically, as a smaller game company, or even bigger game companies, it's very challenging for you to go out there and try and integrate every single payment gateway. The legal work, the paperwork, the integration, the setup would take you months, right? And here, it is a single contract, 234 countries, 160 payment channels, third-party, in third-party app store, not in the existing Apple or Google infrastructure. This would solve the issue of, say, 3% penetration rate of credit card within Philippines. The 97% want to pay in your game. They want to buy something in your game, but they have no ability to do so because you're not integrated. So Noah Pass is something that belongs to Sega, and recently in their investment into Go Game, they have also given us the license to globalize this fantastic network. What it does, in Japan, if you sign up with Noah Pass, and at the moment there's about 130 developers, over 600 games on Noah Pass network. Japan population is 127 million. Today there's 135 million registered users within that network. It's a free advertising tool. You can use it for cross-promotion. It's a simple SDK injection. In fact, I've already built it into GoWrap, so it's automated. You can cross-promote between your own titles or whenever a user leaves your title and downloads someone else's game, you get credits that you can use to acquire other users. So it's a loop, right? And it's completely free. So feel free to check that out. First generation of ads cost per impression. You pay for $15 CPI, CPM, which means $10 for every 1,000 impressions you show. No guarantee. Then we moved on and we say you only pay if someone clicks. Then we moved on to the next generation. You pay only if someone installs. But that doesn't really help, because if you look at your retention rate, a lot of it is below 40%, which means that from the next day, you lost 60% of whatever you paid for. And that's a lot of money to lose, right? So we hope to solve that issue with this free network that you can use. Cross-marketing has never been easier. You can promote from within, no pass one game to another. So this, I think, would be a very exciting innovation in the market. So coming down to my final technology presentation, a peek into the digital future. First generation was banner ads. Then you moved on to video ads. Video ads allowed you to engage a little bit more with the user by showing them gameplay. Then YouTube, the people, bloggers, showing certain titles on YouTube. And when they looked at it, they said, oh, yeah, this is what I want. I like that. And then because the referral came from the YouTube or from videos, you think that engagement will go up. What if, instead of having to download, you can allow the person to just click and try? I'll show you a 1-minute video on that. So a banner comes up, you click it. So instead of having to go to a download page, no downloads, no SDKs, no plugins, an Android game without modification to the source code, without modification to the APK, instantly plays on our platform. User engagement goes up because you can try the title immediately. You can try it. If you like it, you install. If you don't like it, you just close it. So you don't pay for that install at all. But this kind of user engagement actually increases your conversion rate, your retention rate tremendously, because the person actually knows that this is what they like before they go in. Right? And on top of that, with built-in organic social viral capability, we have the ability to reward users for, say, referring their friends to come in. So that's no cost to you. It's cross-platform, runs on Mac, PC, iOS, Android. So you may say, hey, this is a great video, but maybe it's bullshit, right? So I've done a live video. I was going to do a live demonstration, but I can't do it right here. But I did a video to show you that this is real. And after this presentation, if you would like, I can show you live on my phone. So this is an SMS just came in, a short message, which costs you probably 1 cent per SMS sent. Normally, how much do you pay for user acquisition to show it on Facebook? You click, instantly, 1.5 seconds, the game launches. You can choose to let them play for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. If they like, if they're not sure, they can click to carry on play, right? There is save state. We can save the state of the user as well. And as you can see, it's running on full screen on Android. But running an Android game on Android may not be so impressive. This is fully interactive. This is app streaming. I think there were announcements about this, but I don't think anyone has been able to showcase this at this level and in this quality or in this commercial state of availability. So this is iOS. And now I'm going to launch an Android game on an iOS phone through an SMS or through an email or through a link. Same thing, you can see it's running off a browser. So it supports any form of browser. And as you can see, it's seamless. The key part of it is there's no SDK. You do not need to install anything. It is not an emulator. A lot of, I think, cutting-edge technology has been put in that. So you can approach a new set of audience directly on the web as well, through the PC, through smart TVs. There's auto key mapping, so you don't have to change anything on the APK at all. All the clicks and the touches are now mapped to mouse clicks. And here's the same game running on PC. So I think this is going to shift the paradigm. This is going to be a different way for app discoverability, of which you will have much more control. That you will have direct control over how wide an audience that you want to approach. It's not necessary that they play everything on this platform, but it is an easy way for you to reach out to the audience and define or find out who actually is interested in what you have to offer. So, Indie, the super awesome game developer, has made a good game, and now he needs to find ways for him to take this and show it to the world. And I think that some of what I've shown would make that easier, would make that more approachable or more affordable. And we hope, at Go Games, we make good games great. You focus on building the game, we can help you make it better, right? So thank you for attending my presentation. Thank you very much.
Good talk, David. I have just one quick question about the user acquisition fraud. You said $6.3 billion. Can you kind of walk through who's paying that $6.3 billion? Like, is
game
that
developers.
It's all coming from game developers.
Yeah, game developers who are advertising massively. In the past, I've seen. Well, I don't really want to go in depth about who, what, where, when, why, and how, but it exists, and the industry knows it. It has to do with tracking, the ability to track, the ability to identify outliers, as in when you see what I've shown you, it doesn't make sense, right? But most people don't have the tracking tools or tracking ability, or even the understanding of how to track it, right? That's so important. But I guess that the industry is moving towards transparency, clearer accountability. We can accept sometimes when the mobile app tracking software doesn't, or makes some mistakes in the percentage of maybe 5%, 6%, but when it gets to 30, 40% of such frauds, I think it's too much.
Hi, I have two questions. So the first one is, does internet latency affect the streaming ad? And this is the first question. And second question is, how about the pricing model? Does streaming ad also use the CPI-based pricing model?
We haven't sort of priced it yet. At the moment, we're going to do a trial run on Sega Cloud, and starting from Japan on our large network. When we've gotten to massive scale, then I think that we are going to start pricing it. But for latency affects anything. It doesn't really matter, right? Latency affects everything. The minimum requirement probably is 750 kilobits per second. That would be a very good 3G network or 4G, but most people play games on Wi-Fi anyway. It's like watching a YouTube, right?
That's all we have time for, unfortunately. Thank you so much, David. What a wonderful presentation.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.